Alright, grade 12, we are starting a new series. We will call it Using a Document Mathematics High Flyers. We'll be starting with algebra as it winds down for the Eastern Cape kids. They are writing on the 5th of September, the first paper 1. So let us get it cracking. 1.1 x squared minus 2x minus 24 is equal to 0. And the question says solve for x. In a typical exam paper, paper 1, these questions usually deck the halls of question 1. So we need to be familiar with all different types that can be asked. So we'll be looking at various types of quadratic equations, and hopefully we'll get our place sorted. So x squared minus 22x minus 24 is equal to 0 for 3 marks. What we do is we can see that that equation is already in what? In standard form. It is in standard form, which we mean it's in the form ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. What we then do is we factorize this quadratic equation by finding the factors of 24, which when we multiply give us negative 24, but when we add them give us what? Give us negative 2. So obviously the sign that we have at the end for our constant term, whilst the x squared term is positive, is we have a negative sign, and we know that it's a positive times a negative that gives us a negative sign when we multiply. So we know that our terms inside the bracket will be positive and negative. But since the middle term has a negative sign, what we are going to assume is that the highest factor between the terms of that make 24 become 24 when we multiply together, the highest factor of the factors of 24 will have a what? A negative sign, the sign of the middle term. So we know that we're going to have a negative sign and a positive sign. Factors of 24, we have 8 and 3, we have 6 and 4, we have 12 and 2, we have 1 and 24. So we said that the highest factor will have the negative sign. So that means that the other factor will be positive. So of course, the factors that qualify here, all of them, when we multiply them, they will give us negative 24, because a negative times a positive for all of these factors will actually give us what? Negative 24. But what we are interested in is which factors will actually, when we add them, which one will give us negative 2. So if we add this 2, we get negative 22. If we add these 2, we get negative 5. If we add these 2, we get negative 2. So basically it means 6 and 4 are our factors. To get x squared, we need x and x. So therefore we have factorized x squared minus 2x minus 24 by finding the factors of 24, which when we multiply give us negative 24. But whilst at the same time, when we add these two factors, we must get negative 2. Okay, then x minus 6 is equal to 0, or x plus 4 is equal to 0. We call this the zero factor law. Okay, if we have two brackets multiplied to each other with equal to 0 on the right, the zero factor law applies. Meaning, in other words, the first factor will be equated to 0 and the second factor will be equated to 0 as long as the numerical value here is 0. Then we solve. We transpose the negative 6, which means when it crosses over, it becomes a positive 6. We transpose the positive 4, it becomes a negative 4. And therefore, these are our roots. These are our solutions when we are required to solve for x. And that's that. Hopefully that is clear for all the matriculants who will be writing soon. Tune in to the next question.